Logical morning. Welcome to Vidhigya presents the Hindu newspaper analysis. Today's session will have following segments. First, overview of today's newspaper. Second, must know topics and explanation. And third, quiz time with 5 important questions. Starting with the first segment. So on this, the first article here is Indo-Pacific should be free of conflict, say Scott Morrison. So recently, yesterday, a virtual conference happened between Prime Minister of India and Prime Minister of Australia, where it was expressed that Indo-Pacific should be free of conflict. Indo-Pacific region is the region of Central Pacific region, Central Pacific Ocean till Indian Pacific Ocean region. So this is the Indo-Pacific region, and this is in the context of Quad also, that in the Quad, these countries are trying to ensure that the Indo-Pacific region should remain free, inclusive, and open and without any aggression. So this is also highlighted in the yesterday's virtual conference. So on this page, no important article. This page also no important article. Now here, this article is Ukraine peace plan that needs a youth on. So we have discussed everything that is related to Ukraine and Russia crisis, but what here is important that what are the Russia's demand and what these demands and can these demands be met or not. So these we will discuss. This is the realizing the potential of Maitri and mateship. So the term Maitri and the mateship has similar meaning. Maitri is used in India and mateship in Australia. So here it is written Australian says, India says Maitri, Australian says mateship, both stand for respect, understanding, and equality. So this is related to India and Australia Prime Minister's virtual talk. So this is written by Australia's High Commissioner to India. So we will discuss what he has to say. So this will discuss in our second segment. Now, this is related to Sri Lanka's aggravating economic crisis. So Sri Lanka's economy is mostly dependent on tea exports and tourism. So this tourism is affected because of COVID-19 and tea sector is also because of COVID-19 and the now Russia-Ukraine crisis. So which means that all the key foreign exchange earning sectors such as export and remittances. Also, many of the Sri Lankan workers are working in the Gulf countries, or you can say Arab countries. And because of the COVID-19, they are also come back. They have lost their jobs, and therefore there are no remittances. So all key foreign exchange sectors such as exports, remittances, along with tourism, were brutally hit. And because of this, there is an aggravating economic crisis. And so India government has came for the assistance. India stands with the Sri Lanka 1 billion credit line signed for supply of essentials. So till now, India has given total assistance of $2.4 billion to Sri Lanka, in which $4 million is RBI currency. So RBI currencies of 500 million loan deferment and credit lines for importing food, fuel, and medicine. Of this, $1 billion credit line was made. So total to 4 billion, to 400 currencies of 500 deferment of loan and 1 billion of this, and then 500 million of credit line for another essential supply. So the last important article is a solution in search of problem on 10%. So this topics talk about EWS reservation. EWS, what are the challenges and what can be done in the reservation in general. So now we'll discuss 4 important articles and we'll see if there are another important articles. So SC2 here, petitions on criteria for EWS quota. So EWS quota criteria is currently 8 lakhs per annum. 8 lakhs per annum. So SC will hear whether this criteria is justified, this income criteria is justified or not, that we'll see. This is related to Indo-Pacific again. Then another important article here is President gives away Padma Awards. So this we will discuss about what are Padma Awards and when it started. So this we'll discuss. Less than 1% of oil imports from Russia. So India imports less than 1% of its oil from Russia. So we will discuss which countries are the top oil producing countries and from which country imports the largest amount of oil to India. So that we'll see. So the new parliament building is 44 complete, says ministry. So this is a project known as Central Vista project. Central Vista project. It includes building a new parliament, redevelopment of Rajpath, and then other central secretariat or ministries. The development of all this will take place under Central Vista project. So this here highlight that the two other projects under the larger Central Vista project is the Vice President's Enclave and three building of the Common Central Secretariat. So these are the project. One is this uh, Rajpath and this Parliament, creation of new Parliament, Rajpath, Vice President, and then other buildings for Central Secretariat. So word sleepwalking to climate disaster. So we have discussed recently about IPCC report that we need to keep our temperature below 1.5 degree compared to pre-industrial level. However, this article says that keeping 1.5 degrees Celsius will keep us in 45 degree. So in order to keep temperature rise less than 1.5 degree, we need to cut our carbon emission by 45% till the year 2030. And this article says, as per the current situation, it is very difficult. It is almost not possible to cut down carbon emission by 45. And in case if it reaches beyond 1.5 or if it touches 2.2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industry level, this will lead to huge catastrophic events across the world, which will see sea rise level, heat waves, tsunami, and all other, you can say, forest fires. As we can see that in the month of March also, we can see that temperature is going beyond 40 degree, and the summer, the weather is getting too hot. It is because of the greenhouse gas emission. So we need to cut our carbon emission. We need to decarbonize our economy. We need to switch to renewable energy sources. So this article talks about that. So if we continue with more of the same, we can kiss 1.5 degrees Celsius goodbye. He added even 2 degrees may be out of reach. So even 3 degrees can be also. So this you can watch previous lectures on IPCC. We have discussed about IPCC also. So these are all important articles. Now we'll discuss. So we have discussed about Russia-Ukraine crisis, so that we'll not discuss. So what this article says is that the first basic requirement for peace appears crystal clear. The declaration of formal binding neutrality of Ukraine. First is neutrality of Ukraine, that Ukraine will not join any military organization such as NATO. So this is the first, this could be the first negotiation point. Having no military relationship with NATO. This is what is linked to it. Having them in writing. So it said it should be in writing and enshrined in Ukraine's constitution and guaranteed by others' power. So this article says first neutrality, and this should be enshrined in Ukraine's constitution that Ukraine will not join any military organization, and it should be also committed and guaranteed by other major powers in the Europe. Second, that Moscow would also want restrictions on the kind of weapons Ukraine could station on soil, their power and range. So it could also place restriction that Ukraine cannot possess such and such type of weapons on its soil. This is the first, and this is the second. Now, preserving that the arrangement, or since Russia has recognized to Luhansk and Donetsk Republic in the Donbas region, so Russia also would want preserving that arrangement, or at least ensuring de facto, or at least ensuring that de facto there should be control of Russia over Donbas region in these two republics, to which Luhansk and Donetsk belong. By retaining Russia's peacekeepers, there would be given to Moscow. So it would ensure that there is a buffer zone between Ukraine and Russia. So this could be the third demand. Fourth, Moscow would probably also wish to achieve formal integration. Moscow would also likely to push for formal recognition of Crimean Peninsula that Moscow annexed in the year 2040. So this would be the fourth demand. Now, Ukraine may also seek. So Ukraine is also seeking to trade. Ukraine may also seek to trade a surrender. So this article says Ukraine might surrender on NATO membership, but in order for that, but at the same time, Ukraine would also push for that it should be granted European Union membership. Russia has so far said no to Ukrainian adhesion. Russia has so far not agreed to use membership for Ukraine. But if the peace is in the interest of both sides, this could be one issue on which Moscow would have to concede. So Ukraine would have to cede its demand to join NATO, but Russia would have to accept its demand to join European Union. Last that it says perhaps Russia could also bargain for an end of sanctions that are currently crippling its economy and trade in return for making these concessions. So in order to come to these concession, Russia would also might want that Western countries and other countries must cease their restrictions on Russia, which recently these countries have imposed in Russia in the wake of Ukraine's invasion by Russia. So these are the 5 points that you need to remember, that these can come, that which of the following could be demanded by Russia in order for peace talks to continue. Now, second is realizing the potential of Maitri and mateship. So first thing you have to remember that Quad. So both India and Australia are member of Quad. Therefore, they are partners. They are partners, and therefore, and also they have interest in Indo-Pacific region. So this is also an area of convergence. Another area of convergence are the both are the democracy. Both are the democracy, and both wants free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. So these are some of the areas where India and Australia have been collaborating, and therefore now this virtual talk would push for more collaboration and cooperation between these two Indo-Pacific states. So on March 21, the two prime ministers held their virtual summit and took stock of the remarkable pace we are implementing the Australia-Indian Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. To drive closer cooperation and regularly review relation, Prime Minister also established an annual summit mechanism. They have also established an annual summit mechanism where annually both the countries will meet regularly. Now, apart from that, Australian government also delighted to return 29 culturally significant artifacts to the people of India this month. So Australia would be returning 29 artifacts to the India this month. This is also, so you have to remember that 29 artifacts are which country, which of the following, which country is returning 29 artifacts to India. So this is Australia, and how many artifacts? 29 artifacts. Now the article further says both the countries are working on a new and renewable energy partnership to support the development technologies. Australia is good in technology, so India can collaborate with Australia in new technologies such as green hydrogen and ultra low cost solar equipment. We are also supporting research and investment to unlock Australia's critical minerals for India's advanced manufacturing. Apart from that, we are also establishing the Australia-India Center for Excellence for Critical and Emerging Technology Policy and Consulate General in Bangalore. So one more center is being established, a Center of Excellence for Critical and Engineering Technology, Emerging Technology Policy. Also, both the countries, Australia and India, are in talks of negotiating a free trade agreement. So we have made significant inroads on negotiation on deal that will open new two-way trade and investment opportunities, build more supply chains, and unlock our complementary economy, increasing the flow of goods and services. So both the countries are in talk of finally concluding a free trade agreement, which will ensure more trade between the two countries and which will secure supply chain and also unlock multiple job opportunities and trade opportunities for both the countries for their goods and for the service sector and for the people. Australian government Australia government has also launched a Maitri scholarship and fellowship for Indian students and researchers. And this will provide the chance to experience Australia's world-class education system. And the both countries again stress on the commitment to a free Indo-Pacific, free and open Indo-Pacific region. So this you have to remember: Central for Excellence for Critical and Emerging Technology Policy, and then Maitri Scholarship and Fellowship. Maitri Scholarship and Fellowship, giving Indian student researchers the chance to experience Australia's world-class education system. So nothing much to remember. Just you have to remember this is a process building. This is a thought building process where how the relationship between Australia and India is getting closer, and how both the countries can collaborate in the coming time to ensure that both the countries are relying on each other in development of new and critical technologies to support their industrial revolution 4.0, and to ensure the free and Indo-Pacific region is there for all the countries across the world. Now the third article is a solution in search for a problem on 10% reservation. So 124th Amendment Bill was introduced for EWS reservation. And this was a bill, and the amendment is known as 103rd Amendment. So you have to remember 103rd Amendment is related to EWS reservation, providing 10% reservation to economically weaker section. So this article says it will exclude no one. This 10% reservation will exclude no one. How? So one of the criteria for this reservation is threshold of 8 lakh per annum has been mentioned. The National Sample Survey shows that annual per capita expenditure for 99% of household falls under this. So annual per capita expenditure for 99% of household fall under this income criteria of 10 lakh. Therefore, how many people are left out of this? 1%. Therefore, it's none. Almost say you can say no. So excluding it excludes no one. So almost all of the people fall under this EWS reservation criteria. Similarly, as per the Indian household, another survey, the 98% of household are less than 90. One survey saying 99%, another is saying 98%. And if the article further said, even if we apply all the other criteria for exclusion, example, amount of land owned and size of home, the bill would still cover 90. So it will still cover 95% of the people under EWS reservation. Therefore, it is excluding none. So this is the one fact that is related to EWS reservation, that the income criteria almost covers all the people across the country, and hardly there are any people that are left out of this income criteria. Second, what are the challenges? Now, another challenge is getting caste certificate. Second, actual implementation of EWS quota could be challenging. So, a large number of SC, ST, OBC household report difficulties in obtaining these certificates. So, obtaining certificate for EWS category is another challenge. Now, what this article says is spread the benefits. What can be done? What can say reservation is there, but since there is most caste identity assertion and reservation is also a vote bank politics. Therefore, what can be done to ensure that those who do not get the benefit of the reservation, how the reservation could benefit them? Because you can see that in a particular community, only few of the individuals, for example, in let's say a community, there are 100 people and only 20% are getting benefits of reservation, but 80% are not getting reservation benefit because they do not have the required education or income. So what this says that we must think about alternative strategies. One strategy must be to try and spread the benefits of reservation as widely as possible within the existing framework. So how this can be done? That the reserved category status only once. So one can use this reservation only once in their lifetime. So if a person has used this reservation for college admission, then cannot be used for job. If the person has not used this reservation for college admission, then he or she can use this reservation for job. So only once this reservation should be used by the person. This can be done by the government. This would require that anyone using reservation to obtain a benefit such as college admission must register his or Aadhaar number, and she would be ineligible to use reservation for another benefit in the job. Second is that a second strategy might be to recognize that future economic growth in India is going to come from the private sector. Since the jobs in the government sector are also drying up and the government is also privatizing most of its PSUs and other important sectors, therefore, most of the jobs are in the private sector. So what can be done? So in order to ensure that all Indians, regardless of caste, class, and religion, are able to partake in economic growth. So in order to ensure that all the people are taking part in economic growth and earning basic income, so therefore it requires that government must provide basic skills. The focus should be on providing basic skills and formal training to these people to ensure that they become part of the economy and they can ensure their sustenance. So this is the second step. So we have discussed about this. So you have to remember 8 lakh. 8 lakh is income criteria for OBC, also for creamy layer. 8 lakh currently is for EWS. However, it has been challenged the court. And then you have to remember 103rd amendment, 10% reservation for EWS, economically weaker section. Then the another article is President gives away Padma Awards. So we have discussed Padma Awards in explained session. Also, again, we will discuss the Padma Awards are announced every year on the eve of Republic Day. So they are the highest civilian honor of India after Bharat Ratna. So they are highest civilian honor after. So first is Bharat Ratna, then Padma Awards. And Padma Award, there are 3 types of awards which we'll discuss. Instituted in the 1954. So both Padma Awards and Bharat Ratna are instituted in the year 1954. Padma Awards are given in 3 categories. One, Padma Bhushan for exceptional and distinguished service, Padma Bhushan for distinguished service of highest order, and Padma Shri for distinguished service. So these are the 3 awards under the Padma Award category. In 2022, as many as 128 people ranging from veteran politicians, businessmen, scientists, and doctors to artists and ordinary people. Anyone can be given Padma Awards depending on the criteria, depending on fulfilling of the criteria. What is important during this Padma Award? That former West Bengal CM Buddha Dev Bhattacharya refused to accept. So you have to remember former West Bengal CM Buddha Dev Bhattacharya refused to accept. So this is wrong. So this you have to remember from Padma Awards. So Padma Awards have there were 3 types of Padma Awards: Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan. First is Padma Bhushan Padma Bhushan, then Padma Bhushan, and then Padma Shri, all along with Bharat Ratna instituted in the year 1954. This year 128, and these are nominated. These are announced on the eve of Republic Day. So you have to remember that. Last article is less than 1% of oil imports from. So India imports less than of its crude oil, less than 1% of its crude oil from Russia. So the minister, that is Hardeep Singh Puri, in the written reply stated that in 2021 India imports 85% of its crude oil. 85. So out of total demand, India imports 85% of its demand of crude oil from outside, and 54% of natural gas. So India imports 85% crude oil and around 55% natural gas. So India's major source of crude oil import, India's major source of crude oil imports are USA, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Nigeria, and India's largest crude oil importer. So you have to remember India's largest crude oil importer are first Iraq, then Saudi Arabia, and then UAE. So first Iraq, then Saudi Arabia, and then UAE. So these are the India's top 3 crude oil importing countries. And largest oil producer in the world, USA, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. These are the largest oil producing country in the world. So now we'll discuss 5 questions. Question number 1. In which year Padma Awards were instituted? Your option 1950, 1951, 1954, 1955. The correct option is 1954. Question number 2. Which of the following is the highest civilian award? Options are Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, Paramveer Chakra, Bharat Ratna. The correct option is Bharat Ratna. Question number 3. Which country produces the most crude oil in the world? Your option are USA, Saudi Arabia, Russia. And option D, none of the above. So the correct option is USA. Question number 4. What is the income limit for EWS quota? Your options are 6 lakh, 8 lakh, 10 lakh, none of the above. So the correct option is 8 lakh rupees per annum. Question number 5. Which amendment provides for 10% EWS reservation? Your options are 101st Amendment, 102nd Amendment, 103rd Amendment. So the correct option is 103rd Amendment. So that's all for this session. Stay logical with Vidhigya, your best pal in CLAT Preps.